Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's a beautiful night here in Phoenix. The studio's getting a little warm because the weather outside is warming, and that's good news for the coronavirus because in warmer weather, it goes bye-bye. I want to ask a question, first of all, of everybody out there, and it's an important question. Are you sick and tired of giving up your freedoms? You ought to be, because we're getting into this thing and it's becoming a little ridiculous. And there are people across the U.S. that are now concerning themselves, and they're taking a few things into their own hands. And one of them, of course, is that we have people in Michigan that are beginning to do a project traffic jam around their capital, and they're not a real happy bunch of people. And so we do need to be aware of that. We're going to talk about some things tonight. We're going to have Ted Hayes on, and we're going to also find out where the Trump bus is, and we're going to see where our kids are that are stranded. I don't think you've connected me to Ted Hayes. Ted, are you there? No, I don't think you've connected. You don't have. Would you work that phone here? I've got some things I want to talk about anyway. We dropped a line on Ted Hayes, so we're going to be right back. But I wanted to read something here that I think is kind of important, and I want to see if you agree. In America, we have locked down our citizens. We have stopped religious participation. We have outlawed freedom. We have given up fundamental rights, stolen trillions of dollars, and passed it on as stimulus or welfare without a shot being fired. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that this virus thing, our personal rights are now being abused, in my opinion. We've gone long enough. We keep, in a lot of states, Arizona's been very, very good at protecting our individual rights, and my hat's off to Governor Ducey for the most part. Some of the mayors I'm not so happy with. For instance, in the city of Phoenix, they forbid people to go to parks for picnics and so forth, even with family members. I understand that we have the social distancing, and that could be a problem. But we have a lot of things being taken away from us that we really shouldn't have taken away from us. For instance, in some states this past weekend we had Easter Sunday. People still went to church. Some of them actually went into church. Others just took their cars to church and tuned into the radio, just wanted to be near the churches, so they sat in their vehicles. And certain police departments came by and took license plates numbers and submitted fines for these people. Which is not a good sign at all. Not in America. These things should not happen. We do have guaranteed in the First Amendment our religious rights. Some people have closed gun shops. We have a Second Amendment which protects that. We have. Did you get Ted online?
Yes, he's online.
Okay, let me just hook that in, please. Look at that. No hands, Mom. At any rate, so we have that situation where we're giving up a lot of rights. And this is not right, and it's lasting too long. This virus, they originally started this virus out, and they made some big mistakes in estimating the number of dead. They were saying between 100 and 250,000 dead Americans from this virus. They called out cruise ships or hospital ships to California and New York. The military built MASH hospitals in key cities in Seattle, New York. They weren't needed. The Javits Center, they took that in New York, made a big hospital out of that. They weren't needed. Now, I'm not saying that this is not a terrible disease. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later, once again, about the Chinese and the Chinese starting this pandemic, and they need to pay a heck of a price for what they've caused the world. This was already a pandemic for 6 days in China before they even told anybody about it. The World Health Organization, which is a joke, and thank God our president has had the foresight finally to say we're paying unbelievable amounts of money into the World Health Organization, and they came up with the idea that this virus could not be transferred from human to human. And for those of you around the world, right now, most of you are in lockdown. You can't get out of your houses, or if you do, you can only do it in certain time periods during the day. People in a lot of countries are going hungry. People in America, thank God, we're a land of plenty, and there are many, many people that are receiving what I call care packages, and that's a good thing, because nobody needs to starve to death over this when they close shops down and people don't have money and so forth. But this stimulus package, once again, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So the governments, a lot of city governments right here, they've closed down businesses in the city of Phoenix. Now they're claiming they're going to be millions and $billions of lost revenue. So what are they talking about? Raising your taxes, so that when we do go back to work, your taxes are going to be going up. Well, in Phoenix, I'm not saying that we don't have people that are dying, but your chances of getting the virus, by the numbers, are 0.0004. Okay, that's 4/100%. If you get it, that's still a nasty thing. And I want to report that my nephew in Austin, Texas, now has the coronavirus. He will survive. He's on the mend, but he had a very high temperature of approximately 105 degrees. It can't be pleasant to go through this, no questions asked. But there has to be a better way than to shut down an entire nation or shut down an entire world. And so we've got to get to that point. Now, we're in the western United States, and I have my good friend Ted Hayes on the line, and he's from even further west in the United States, and he is in California. I believe it's L.A., if I'm not mistaken. Ted, welcome to the show. Ted?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Good evening, brother.
Thought we lost you again, sir. Brother.
Man, long time.
Yes, and are you safe out there, first of all?
Yeah, I'm about as safe as I can be, I get out and on my balcony and stuff and get fresh air and walk, and sometimes I get on my four-wheel roller skates and I'll skate down the skate walk and see all the rebels out there walking and running and skating and skateboarding. A bunch of rebels out there, So
for those of you that don't know, Ted, he's a world-renowned skater. Once in a while he lands on his face, but that's an improvement. That's an improvement from the way he normally looks when he lands on his face. For those of you that don't know Ted, and many of you do here in Arizona, because Ted is a homeless activist. He's very, very popular in the western United States and has appeared on many, many radio and television shows across the nation. So we're so honored to have you here tonight, Ted. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the homeless and how the coronavirus is affecting the homeless communities.
Well, you got a yin-yang kind of situation. You got a positive and a negative concerning the homeless. On the negative side, quickly, I'm very concerned because 35 years ago, when I became homeless on purpose and dwelled on Skid Row with the homeless folks down there on the sidewalks, and I was there for like 8 years on the sidewalk before we were able to create and implement the Dome Village, which lasts another 13 years, whereby I lived with homeless people in the facility, so a total of 21 years. But way back then, when we had Justiceville, the original encampment that kind of spawned the encampment movement in the Western Hemisphere.
Was that the igloo-type buildings?
Yeah, that was the igloos. You can go to domevillage.us, Dome Village, D-O-M-E, village.us, and you can see the whole story and why we did that. But I went to on purpose as a civil rights activist to experience firsthand what the people at the bottom of our society were going through, and to find out what was the cause and to seek a solution if there was one. And while doing, and I've done all that. Now, while there, one of the things I recognized right away was the sanitation issue, because people had to urinate and defecate in the street, they couldn't wash their hands and so forth. And I said then that because I know that once a person, this is like 1985, given the state of the economy, overpopulation in urban centers, I said that once a person becomes homeless, the chances of getting back into the mainstream of society is almost nil. Maybe 1% will get back through programming, but those who get back won't stay. And I said that the mainstream society is rejecting these folks. I said it's going to become like a culture, and I said that because you know that, you're going to wait until homelessness gets so bad throughout the city and the country that in the name of public health and safety, you're going to send out the National Guard to round these people up and take them outside of town and quarantine them in some kind of facility. And of course, people laughed at me and said that I was a lunatic and that this and no, that's not going to happen here. Well, lo and behold, 35 years later, after constantly warning them, this so-called COVID virus, whatever it is, whether it's from the animals or whether it's from the man-made or whether it was a combination, I don't know. I wasn't there. The point is, I said I noted that until they can address homelessness, until they can be tested and treated, thousands upon thousands of them, the president will never be able to declare the virus over. How can he? Because as long as these people are not accounted for, which are very transient, the general society is still in danger. Okay? Now, before the virus hit, people were already saying maybe it's time to bring the National Guard in to round up the homeless and get them out of here and keep them out of here. Now, I've been trying to talk with the President of the United States about this now for many, many, many months. I've warned them even before it hit the news. 1 week before it hit the news, I had called the White House, and I spoke to my White House, my top-level, well, the President's envoy, Dr. Ben Carson. I spoke to him. I said, sir, concerning the virus, I'm concerned that if we don't have an exodus plan post the virus, the Guard is going to come and round people up and take them out of here. What's going on? Ben, you're talking with the mayor and everybody here in the city. How come you're not talking to us? And he said, well, it's classified information. He said, we can't tell you, but don't worry, we have it all under control. I said, well, then fine. I'm just going to have to start saying what I need to say and tell the President, I mean no friendly fire, but then that you guys are going to tell me the truth, I'm going to have to speculate. So what I'm speculating is going to happen here, because they cannot, even, listen folks, even if they get all the homeless off the streets into quarantine and hotels and so forth and so on, when the virus is declared over, where will these people go back to? They can't go back to the neighborhoods. So they'll be stuck in quarantine facilities, which means we have concentration camps. That's where we're at with this homeless situation. And it's almost as though, Ron, folks, it's almost as though somebody, I don't know who the somebody are, they want homeless people to really get this virus, to create the excuse that in the name of public health and safety, we're going to have to use the efficiency of the military to rapidly, simultaneously round them all up, take them outside of town, and treat them there. This is where it's moving to.
Well, what cities, Ted, what cities are we talking about?
We're talking Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills. We're talking Santa Ana. We're talking all of Southern California, San Francisco, Portland. Homelessness has become a culture, to the point to where 95 to 98% of the people who have the mental and physical capability of holding a 9-to-5 job refuse it.
I hate to cut you off here. We've got music playing. I don't know if you can hear it on your end. If you can't, at any rate, we have music playing, and so that means we've got to take a quick break. We're talking to Ted Hayes, and we'll be right back with him. And hang on, because we're going to be talking to some of the drivers and people associated with the Trump train bus. See you on the other side. Well, welcome back. Listen, during these times, no matter where you're at, try to take advantage of some of your local businesses that are struggling, like restaurants right now. They cannot open their doors and have people seated in the restaurants, but oftentimes they can deliver food. Some of them have drive-ins, some of them use Uber, and you can call in an order and have it delivered to your home. Try to help these people because they're really struggling. And when we get out of this mess, we want to have those restaurants still around our neighborhoods. We don't have to drive 20 miles to find a restaurant that managed to survive what was going on. We're speaking with Ted Hayes out of California. He's a homeless activist and a good friend of Fighting Back. And Ted, I'm amazed as widespread as some of these cities that you were talking about, that homelessness is such a widespread problem in California.
Yeah, it's huge. It's actually a national security threat. It's not about more housing or shelters or social service programs. We've got to see this as a national security threat. But to finish up that conversation we started on, prior to the music break, and what the mayor, I spoke with him last year about all this. A lot of this.
This is the mayor of L.A.
2019. Yes, Eric Garcetti. He's a friend of mine. I've known him since he was a pup. His father, in fact, when his father was the L.A. County District Attorney, he worked with me on this national plan to eradicate homelessness, which Eric, for some reason, is refusing to pay attention to. But anyway, what the mayor is doing out here is he is rounding up homeless people in a program called Cold Weather Shelter Program. They pick them up on buses, which violates his 6 feet distance thing. Now they're saying it's maybe up to 8 to 12 feet. He's violating that. If you do it as a resident, a house person, you could get fined or sent to jail. And he's telling residents to snitch on neighbors who don't obey the codes. But they're taking them to these open room shelters where they got maybe 6 feet apart, but that's not going to be any difference. They're using these bathrooms in there, and they're opening up community centers in people's neighborhoods, open room shelters, and they're spreading the virus. And I've been sending videos and trying to talk with him and say, man, what are you doing? I'm almost inclined to believe that they want this virus to really get a grip on homeless people. I went down to Skid Row, by the way, the other day, where 90% of the homeless down there are black men. And it looked like a concentration camp without fences because, during the daytime they go out and scatter and forage. But now they have nowhere to go. So they're all down there spitting and coughing and sneezing on each other, sleeping side by side. And the mayor refuses to hear what I'm trying to say to rectify it. It's almost as though they wanted to get so bad that when the military comes and picks them up, nobody will protest it. And if that happens, brothers and sisters, you can kiss the Union Republic goodbye, and you may as well say to King George III, King George, you were right all along, and the Founding Fathers were absolutely incorrect. And we are sorry for the revolution. We're sorry we offended you, and that we became rebels. We're sorry for all the British boys and American boys that had to die.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far myself, but that's my own.
No, that's
opinion.
That's just me.
Yeah,
and I'm on record for that.
But what under the best case scenario, putting all these people out there without proper sanitary facilities, and we've all seen it, at least here in this country, the photographs of people defecating on the street, urinating in the street.
It's constant. It's constant.
Shooting up and throwing their needles around. It's a terrible thing, and it seems to be more prevalent in California than anywhere. I'm not sure that here in Arizona that we have any instances of this. We may, but they're certainly not being publicized.
It's not as bad. I've seen it. I've been in Arizona. I've been in Phoenix. I've seen it around. I see it, but it's no way near what is in California. A lot of people say, well, it's because of the liberal socialist policies of the Democrats, which is absolutely correct. It's true. It's socialist, liberal, welfare policies, and also this Measure 47, where they're letting inmates out of prison and stuff and things, and also the one that says that 47 says that if a person steals $950, they get a misdemeanor slap on the wrist.
Oh, I've heard
beyond
that.
It's a felony. I'm sorry. Yes, in California. So people are stealing. Doing all
And there's
kinds of
nothing
stuff.
that the proprietor of the business can do about it, is there?
No, and people are literally coming here from other states because of this stuff, and they come to Venice Beach, and you should see it. It's so you have to think. Wait a minute, are these guys stupid who are running the state, or is there a hidden agenda here?
It is
I think
California,
it's
isn't
hidden.
it? They're stupid.
It's hidden agenda. I think the socialists want to rein in chaos, and I think the socialists would like to see a president, particularly this president, have to use the military to bring order back into society, because what would we have then? A fascist military state. They don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican, as long as it's not a free capitalist enterprise.
Well, I look at this, the Democrat Party has been experimenting with socialism for a long time, trying to jam it down our throats in this primary election that they've just been going through in the fall with Bernie Sanders. What we're going through now is like socialism. Limited supplies of food. They tell you where you can go to get your food or your whatever else you want to do. Our sporting events are all closed down now. And I can see the need for that, but there's got to be a better way than what we've done. This has come up so quickly, and according to President Trump, and thank God he's done this, we have 50 states, and he's allowed each state to deal with this situation the way they should or would like to. But the one thing I noticed, Ted, is that Republican states are dealing with this a lot more efficiently than Democrat states. And I'll give you a good example right now of your own state. You probably heard this today in the news. But Governor Newsom of California, he's your governor. He also is the nephew of Nancy Pelosi, who is our Speaker of the House, and a very, very liberal leftist person. They're going to give $500 to each illegal alien in California. Well, of course, they have to eat too. They need money as well. But they're not giving money to California citizens. They're only giving money to illegal aliens that are in your state. I mean, what a fairy tale this is. The people that pay the taxes don't get their money back, but they take their tax money and give them to illegals. Now, I know, and you know, that many of the people that are homeless in California are veterans. They've served this country
no
well.
question. Yes.
And we're not taking care of them. They've joined our military, our armed forces. They help defend our nation. And this is the way we treat them?
Yep. And that's why we're losing respect in a certain sense around the world. And Mr. Trump needs to get hip to this. And I'm concerned that the advisors around him are not giving this man proper advice, particularly concerning homelessness and black citizens and our military veterans and what they're going through out here. Because they don't really know themselves what to do. So the president is being pushed into a position where he doesn't want to be in. But this is the leftists know this, and they're pushing him to where he's going to have to become a dictator to get things straightened out. Well, it's his fault or not that we got here. They're going to label him a dictator. They want to do it anyway.
Well,
because he's not getting good advice.
I don't think
I
don't think that most people that keep their eyes open would believe that the Democrat Party are trying to push him into a corner where he has to make some very unwise and unnecessary decisions. I listen every morning, and I don't understand why all the news media covers Governor Cuomo of New York. I do not understand that. Out here in Arizona,
I understand it. I understand it perfectly. They want to line him up for president. He's their best shot now over Biden. And if Biden gets elected, it won't be Biden running the country anyway. It'll be Cuomo and his crew.
But Cuomo, the New Yorkers have done just about everything that you can do wrong. They have done it wrong. It's amazing. Have you watched any of the whining of this governor? Oh, I need this.
No, I don't pay no attention to him, because this was the guy, when he was Secretary of HUD, deliberately tried to shut down Dome Village on purpose. He tried to shut it down because she knew that I had a plan within the Dome Village concept that would go against the prison industrial complex, which his father, Mario Cuomo, became the godfather of the rebirth of America's prison industrial complex under the 13th Amendment, Part 2, where it says slavery in America is abolished except in prison. And the majority of the men and women who are in prison are black folks, black citizens. And Cuomo understood that clearly, that I had a plan to break that cycle. And he tried to shut it down. So, yeah, I know what Cuomo was up to. You know, I see the Democrats have to go to him to shore up Biden. And this is why, again, this is my belief, y'all. This is why if they can't win the presidency, they can't take it from Donald Trump. What they want to do is make him look as bad as they possibly can and make him a dictator. Because now, as you know, Mr. Trump is having a little difficulty with the states over, he was saying, look, if I have to, I'll take over the states. But I don't want to do that. I want the states to do it themselves. So they want to push him in that direction. But so again, Mr. Trump is not getting good advice, especially on the matter of homelessness, because that's where they're going to beat him there. Homelessness is the president's Achilles heel, y'all. This is what will, if he does not resolve the homeless situation correctly, it will take him down. They'll use it because there's too many ignorant people in our country who run their lives based on reactionary emotion instead on intelligent facts and policies. Take for example, South Africa. South African government has released. Go look it up. Google it up. South Africa has released its military on the homeless, and they're in the name of the COVID and public health and safety. They're rounding up all the homeless in South Africa, and they're herding them into sports stadiums and other facilities, locking them down. Now the question is, when the virus is declared over, where will these people go? Mm-hmm. They're stuck in a concentration camp, and that's what's about to happen in this country.
Ted, we're
get to the president.
I hear the music again. We're taking a hard break right now. Can you hang on? Can you hang on?
I would love to,
we'll
brother.
be back. When we get back, we're going to continue on with Ted Hayes, and we're going to be connecting Buddy Hall with the Trump bus. This is a phenomenal vehicle, and I'm hoping we can pull that up on the screen. But listen to these messages. Wash your hands, stay clear, and above all, help support our local businesses. We'll see you on the other side. Don't go away. Thank you again for joining us tonight on Hub Radio. This is Fighting Back, and I'm your Uncle Ronnie. We have Ted Hayes on the line. We're talking about the homelessness in California particularly, and homeless around the country, most of them centered in California. And what were these people doing, or what can they do with this coronavirus, especially as some of the larger, more economically privileged people manage to fight this disease off? What's going to happen in these communities and these tent cities that are out there with a lot of poor people that can't afford proper medical attention, can't afford a home, can't afford a bed. They sleep in a sleeping bag on the street if they're even fortunate enough to have a sleeping bag. Ted, tell us what the governor of California is doing about this. You've already indicated that they're doing nothing. What are the individual mayors doing?
You know, before this virus even hit.
By the way, we have this handsome picture of you on the screen. So this is Ted Hayes for those of you that. Wow, what a good-looking guy! Looks like you fell on your face while you were skating.
Much improved, huh? little sidewalk lip there. Make you laugh. The sidewalk is a very hard experience, folks.
He's broken a lot of sidewalks. Go ahead, Ted. Sorry to detract.
Out here, you know, it seems like the politicians now want to vie to see who could be the most visible homeless advocate here. Okay, it's become the fad, and many politicians, several of them I do know, and I've tried to explain things to them. They're running for office, and they're using that they're the great champion of the homeless. Anyway, Mr. Newsom said a few months ago, he said, look, I'm going to sanction all the cities of California who will not get the homeless. Here's the code word: off the streets, off the streets. And so the mayors responded, yeah, you know, Governor, we can't get them homeless off the street because we don't have the resources to do that, and you know, it's impossible. So he said, well, listen, we're gonna take a lesson out of Eric Garcetti crisis, where he tried to build these shelters, bridge houses, shelters in communities, and the NIMBYites, the not in my backyard residents, you know, gave him a lot of grief on that. Well, guess what? We don't have to go to the neighborhoods anymore. We can just take the homeless out to state property and put them there. You hear me? We'll take the homeless, we'll skip the neighborhoods, and we'll just pick them up and take them out to state property. Now, the only way that can be done is by the efficiency of the military and the National Guard. So what I'm saying to you, before the virus, those guys were already thinking the way to resolve this is simply take them out of the city and put them away, because they're not going to go voluntarily.
Out of sight, out of mind.
But what will give them the moral high ground to do it is in the name of public health and safety, to stop the spread of the coronavirus, and therefore there'll be no protest from the people in the country that this is a fascistic kind of move, only because we could have done it another way and chose not to do it that way, but rather this quick fascist way. That's what's going on out here, folks. And unfortunately, the president, our president, through bad advice, has fallen into this trap. He has already fallen into the trap. It's a matter of, will we be able to rescue him from the trap or not? That's why I've been trying very, very hard to break into the White House again from another angle, because the angle that I got in before, the guy that's in charge of the Homeless Project for the president is the executive director of the Interagency Council on the Homeless. His name is Robert Marbutt Jr. He doesn't know what the frick he's doing, ladies and gentlemen, and he is giving the president of the United States, maybe not on purpose, but he's giving the president some bad advice, and he refuses to hear what I'm trying to say to him, how to prevent the president from being trapped by the Democrats, because they're setting a trap for him.
Well, Ted, aren't you working with Coretta King as well on this? Martin Luther King's daughter?
Alveda King. Dr. Martin Luther King's niece. Yes. Dr. Alveda King. Yeah, she's around, and we talked about some of this, and I told her that I'll get back to her when I have a better package for her, because she told me the last time we spoke was, all right, Ted, well, you let me know what it is that my team can do with you, and I'll get back to you on that. So I'm putting together a package for her and for that team, and see if they'll act in. I mean, I've tried to that group of conservative Republicans who are around the president. They refuse to introduce me to the president. They refuse to do it. They could do it. They
Well,
could
he's
telephone.
he's
Tomorrow,
probably
you pick it up.
he's
Hey,
probably
Mr. President, call Ted Hayes, but they won't do it.
I think he's probably pretty busy right at the moment.
No, I don't. That's no excuse. When you have United States military veterans living in the filth of the streets of this country, about to be rounded up by military personnel and taken outside of town and quarantined in the name of public health and safety due to this virus, no, that is no excuse. That's no excuse, Mr. President. You cannot be that busy. There is no way you can be that busy. If you're that busy, then you don't belong in the White House. Because this country was founded by homeless people. Our forefathers came out of other countries to this country as homeless people with a dream in their eyes. And that's and by us ignoring our homeless folks like the way we've been doing, all presidents have been doing, except for this one, but by ignoring them like this and protecting our veterans who are homeless, and that should not be in the same sentence. Homeless U.S. military veterans, that should not be in the same sentence. What a shame.
Yeah, Ted, we got your picture here, and of course now we got it. Hey, Neil, you got the phone ringing. Did we lose you, Ted?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, just hang on. We lost you there for a minute.
I'm gonna go get my ass blowed off just so I can come back here and end up homeless, and you ignore me?
Listen, Ted, we had a picture of you up there, and I was going to tell everybody you're quite the patriot, and you are was it Mr. American Patriot?
Mr. Citizen Patriot.
Citizen Patriot, and tell us what you do there, and when you're going to be in Arizona, so people can meet you and see and hear what you have to say.
You know, go to Mr. Patriot, MISTER Patriot, MrPatriot.us, and you'll see the website there. And Mr. Patriot is the nuanced Uncle Sam. He's very ironic kind of fellow. You gotta get to know him. And Ron, if I can say this, hope it's not too premature, but folks, you know, Ron, I've known Ron now. We've known each other for several years, and this is one good brother. Okay,
Thank you, Ted.
I love Ron. He's crazy. I call him Brother Sir because I respect him so much for his work and for his leadership and for being open to me. The first time we met was on a telephone call through Pam Stevens, and we had a very good heart-to-heart conversation. And
Yes,
Ron
we
and
did.
I have talked about the 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the Civil War. This man knows his stuff, folks. And so last time I saw Ron about a month ago, I said, you know, what about if we do on your broadcast a Mr. Patriot show? So we're thinking about doing a Mr. Patriot broadcast, and maybe if you guys want, I'll come over and bring Mr. Patriot with me, and we can have a patriotic sing along.
Yes,
That's
we have some ideas, and we've got somebody else on the line that we want to do this with, and that is our bus. But we're going to have to sign off here and get back to the next section of the show here real quick, because we have the folks here with the Donald Trump train bus, and this thing is a marvelous thing. They came by the office on it was Easter Day. And there's the bus now. This was a phenomenal bus. Took a ride down the neighborhood in it, and people were just yelling and screaming, "Yay for Trump!" And we parked in front of my house, and a crowd of people came by and getting signatures and so forth, or autographs and pictures taken. And it's really interesting because nobody violated the 6-foot rule that we have here. As many people as there were there, everybody just automatically went to the 6-foot rule. So I guess that's a good thing. Ted, we really appreciate you being here. We're going to call you again, give us an update, and I want to make sure that you. That the people know we want to get this bus, we want to get you, and we want to have a big event out here outside of our offices and do it and televise the thing as well. So, Ted, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you for being on the show, and
thank you.
And we'll get you on here again. I want to get an update. So, like I said, Governor Newsom giving $500 of your tax money to illegal aliens, but not to U.S. citizens. That's wrong. At any rate,
It sure is.
We'll see you, Ted. Thank you so much. And we're going to switch now over to yeah. See, I don't know how to use this stuff. Okay, yeah, hang on. I'm about ready to. Okay, Ted, we're going to say au revoir, and we're going to go to the other call. Thank you, Ted. Okay, who's in charge of this? I'm hitting the switch button, but it ain't switching. There we go. Hey, can you hear me, buddy? Buddy, can you hear me? Okay, well, here, time for a quick break here. We get Buddy on. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. I don't know how to operate a phone. You'd think at my age I would, but I don't know how. So we'll see you on the other side of this, and hopefully we'll have Buddy on the line. Well, listen, I do appreciate you all listening to Hub Radio and fighting back, and our great techies over here, especially Neil DeSanti, figured out how to use this phone, and so we should be on the phone with Buddy. Are we there, Buddy? Okay, how's this? Can you hear me better? Talk to me.
I can hear you fine to begin with.
Okay, good. We had a little sound problem there as well. I must have hit the wrong button. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, this is Buddy Hall and his partner Gladys, and they drive this beautiful bus, and it's called the Trump Train. There it is. We just put it on the screen. This is one of the most phenomenal things I have ever seen. What is it, 45 feet long, Buddy?
Yes, sir. 45-foot long tour bus. Yes, sir.
And tell us a little bit about what got you involved in this beautiful bus and the Trump campaign.
Well, we're actually part of a charity that finds kidnapped kids called the American Association for Lost Children, and they found my kids 30 years ago, and I've been with them ever since. And they don't charge the parents to find the kids, so I wanted to help raise money for the charity, and at the same time I wanted to help promote our great wonderful president who's made so many sacrifices of his own life to help America. So I put the two together, bought a custom tour bus and had it wrapped beautifully as a campaign tour bus for the president. And we travel the country. And
Mr. O'Connor, can you put that bus on there again? There it is. This thing is called the Trump Train, and it's all aboard the Trump Train. And this is a phenomenal. Those of you that can see, this beautiful bus was I guess it's like a Greyhound bus. It's a touring bus, and it's entirely self-enclosed, and it is gorgeous. And it's when it goes around the country, and it's here in Arizona now, and unfortunately, because of the virus thing, they can't make the tours that they wanted to do, and we're planning some things as soon as this virus goes away. But where did you start out? Where did you go, and how did you get here?
Well, our first journey was to Latrobe, Pennsylvania from North Carolina. It was wrapped in Raleigh, North Carolina. About going on a month and 3 weeks now, it's been wrapped, so it's still new. And our charity office is in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, it's kind of different. I don't know how many states are this way, but the president just can't say, hey, I'm running for president re-election, and people go vote. They have to get X amount of people to come sign a petition to get the president on the ballot. So we toured Pennsylvania for about 7-8 days and signed up thousands of people to get the president on the ballot.
Wow.
We also signed up new people that had never voted before. And
Wow.
there's a lady named Leslie Rossi. She has a famous house that's called the Trump House. You can Google the Trump House in Pennsylvania and see it. And we toured with her, getting people on the ballot and signed up, and at the same time selling hats and shirts, because the bus isn't funded by anybody, the president or nobody, just ourselves, and the way we buy gas and keep it
Now,
going.
now tell me, this began before the virus. Is that correct? Where you were doing?
Oh yeah, about a month before the virus. Yes, sir. About a month before the virus.
What kind of a reaction did you have when you
Oh, it's been nothing but great, positive. A friend told me I better get a bulletproof vest and triple my life insurance, and they kind of worried me, thinking, well, there is a possibility, and I guess even today, that is a possibility. But we've had nothing but great stuff. People honk the horn and put their thumbs up out the windows, and in both sides of the mirror, looking backwards on the bus, I can see people come up on us real fast, and all of a sudden they hit their brakes, and video cameras and phones all of a sudden pop out, and everybody's taking pictures. And,
I know when you took me for a ride in the bus, we saw some people coming the other way in the one car.
Yeah.
There was a motorcycle.
Going one way, and all of a sudden they hit their brakes and turn around, just like they did with you.
Well, the funny thing, there was a motorcycle.
I can't lie. I can't lie. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody to throw us a finger or something like that. But I always say they're either showing us how many friends they have or what their IQ is, and not everybody's educated.
Well, we got a kick out of that one car that almost stopped, and there was a motorcycle behind him. He was looking at the bus too. He almost ran into the car. It was so funny. It's a beautiful bus. And listen, you have a beautiful partner with you. Gladys is she there? Can we talk with her?
Yeah, I'll just give a little history of Gladys. There's a famous Hollywood fashion designer. His name's Andre Soriano, and he made the famous MAGA dress that's been in the Emmys, the Oscars, and the Rock and Roll Hall
Oh,
of
yes,
Fame
I've
now.
seen that, yes.
Yeah, and Gladys is a model for the Andre. And
Really?
she wore the MAGA dress. It's actually in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now. It was worn by Gladys.
Oh, back in Cleveland?
And, so anyways, I'll let her say hello for 1
Yes.
second. Hold on. Or however long. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi, Gladys. How are you?
I'm doing good by the grace of God.
Oh, excellent, excellent. No, we're so excited about this bus. We had such fun on Easter, and good food, and the bus, and a little trip around the neighborhood, and all of the people. Boy, it just draws a crowd naturally.
Yes, we do our best to make happy, put a smile in everyone's face.
Oh,
This is our goal.
and it did. Now, how are you
That is our
financing?
president.
How are you financing this trip? I noticed when I was there, you had some T-shirts, Trump T-shirts. How are you financing this?
I was very arduento into that in order to accomplish our mission.
Okay, now you sell books and T-shirts and commemorative coins.
Yep, everything. You name it. Hats,
Oh, Trump hats.
T-shirts, hats. And you don't sell things just like, everything has to be dedicated with great discipline in order to accomplish. This is not easy. This is not easy task. Sometimes you wake up in the day and you have to face the same situation actually every day. So
Oh yes.
I
And
pray and I go on.
well, we appreciate this bus here. We're wanting to have this outside of our location here. I still haven't gotten word that it's okay, and of course we have to get rid of this virus before we can do anything. But we're wanting to have this beautiful bus out in front of our facilities, and we thought we might have Ted Hayes with Mr. Patriot out there. And there's a little place down the hall, the end of the mall. I went down there today, I might add, to talk to them. They provide school lunches, and of course, school is not in session here, and they're hurting as well. They must have a fleet of at least 20 or so, wouldn't you say, Mr. O'Connor? About 20 or so vehicles where they take lunches to school children, and of course, without school now, the trucks are parked. And we thought maybe we could help them sometime by having this bus out here in the parking lot and putting some things out there that if people wanted to make a donation for T-shirts and so forth, that they could in fact buy a box lunch from the school people. We're always trying to find ways in which we can help our small businesses, because a lot of people look at America and they think that we're big corporations, and they of course are, but the real strength of America is its small business operations. So we're real proud of that, and we'd like to put something together, buddy, as soon as we can do that.
Yes. Yes.
Again, it's kind of we don't know from day to day what's going on, but they are saying April 30th they're going to reevaluate this, so we're hoping that by April 30th we'll be able to put something together. We're really excited about that. You also brought a little furry creature along with you. I heard your dog barking at us. What kind of dog is that?
Yes, that's Habanese. It's the Trump dog. It's our president's dog. Concerning what you was talking about, the children lunch and all of that, we can cooperate maybe in helping the children get proper lunch, like donations from us in the future. But for now, I'm going to give you Buddy, who is more dedicated and more disciplined and more educated in all of this.
And he's a better driver
thank you
than
so
I've
much.
seen anybody. To get that bus in my
He's
neighborhood,
the best on everything.
and get that bus in my neighborhood and in my driveway is not an easy task.
Yeah.
So how many
Okay, here's Buddy again.
how many miles have you put on that coach?
Not a lot, but we've only been on the road for about 6 weeks, maybe going on 7 weeks. Probably 13,000.
Well, you sent me some videos. For those of you that are not local in Arizona, we also have a Trump helicopter here in town. And when you were first coming in on the Trump helicopter, and that was on I-10, Interstate 10, the helicopter was flying over, and there was another news helicopter next to it. And it was one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen, to see this beautiful bus. And then flying near there was the Trump helicopter over the Trump train bus, and it was marvelous. But tell us the
They
difficulty.
can go to YouTube. They can go to YouTube. I think they would type in Trump helicopter turning Washington upside down. That's his slogan. Because he's only one of 5 pilots that's authorized by the FAA FAA, excuse me,
Oh.
to fly upside down.
I saw that. I saw that.
His
Listen,
slogan is turning Washington upside down.
we're almost out of time. Tell us where you're going to be in the next couple days, so if people want to stop by and see you.
For at least another week, we'll be in Mesa on the corner of Val Vista and Main Street. Val Vista and Main Street, we have hats, shirts, all kinds of stuff. And our website is thetrumptrain.net, www.thetrumptrain.net. Our phone number's on there. You can call us. Anyways. Yeah,
That's TrumpTrain.net. We're going to have to go. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in to Fighting Back. And, Buddy, we'll be in touch with you very soon. And see you next week. And this is Uncle Ron, signing off. Good night. Thanks for watching.